Because this looks like a refrigerator at home.
Yeah.
Is this going to cause them to come here and buy a premium spirit?
I don't see people putting that much attention to it.
Okay, then why even put it there? Is it decor or is it something that you found on the street? What's up guys, it's your boy Alan again, back with another video. And today we're going to watch another episode of Bar Rescue.
Oh, what's without the toilets? When I first walk into a bar, I expect it to be comfortable, inviting, and relatable. When I walked into the Blue Frog, I felt like I was at a carnival. There were games everywhere and toys hanging from the ceiling. This is not the kind of place that would keep me spending my money.
So there's nothing wrong inherently with having games and childhood memorabilia in a bar. It really depends on what ambience the owners or managers are trying to go for. The episode just started, so let's see where it goes from here.
It's a little unusual.
This place?
Yeah, because there's like children's toys and weird stuff. Like high school.
So I would say that if they are trying to go for, childhood memories, I don't know what that fish is supposed to represent. Maybe it might be a local thing.
Oh, thank you. The first thing I ordered off the menu were the macaroni cheese balls. The first bite I took, it was frozen on the inside. Totally inedible, completely disgusting.
That is gross. The plate was dirty. The sauce is like some kind of gravy. And she said it was frozen, which is, if it's not cooked all the way, then is this like a store-bought product? Or they made it in-house and then they froze it? Or fryer oil is not hot enough? There's like a lot of red flags here.
I've been here for over an hour and I recognize Mimi, the owner at the bar. She's been drinking the entire time. It's completely unprofessional and totally bad for business.
It's not just unprofessional, but it's not even legal in some places. There's like a lot of liability that comes in, especially when the owner or manager is intoxicated. If anything happens inside the bar or restaurant, the managers and the owners are the last line of defense. You don't want the bartenders to deal with an intoxicated guest and they are unable to control that guest, and then when they refer to the manager and then the manager is even more intoxicated, what kind of authority is that?
You think I like letting people walk out the door?
No, I know that if you do.
This is what I'm telling you, you're overreacting.
You know what? I'm struggling to pay the bills, and all of a sudden, we got people walking out, we got people telling we should buy them their drinks.
So that's actually one of the things I was talking about. If you have people just walking out of the bar or restaurant, and the way that he says it, it seems that it happens pretty often, but if the owner or the manager is intoxicated, nobody's gonna take them seriously.
And I hear yours is in trouble.
Yeah, we're in trouble.
You want my help?
I do.
Okay. When I met Mimi, it only took me about 30 seconds to realize she was drunk.
That was my first impression as well.
I've been in the bar business 35 years. I've never had a drink in a bar I worked in my life.
Yeah, I like to drink, and I will
You like to drink, really?
Yeah.
I'd expect you to be sober when you're with me. Is that reasonable?
I believe I'm sober.
Really? How many drinks have you had?
I don't know.
You don't know. If you were sober, you would think you would know.
I'm a drinker. I believe I'm sober. I'm a drinker.
Yeah, she's clearly intoxicated. Like, she can't even remember how much she drank, and she's not even like capable at this point of making a number up. So generally speaking, most bartenders are trained to know when to cut guests off. But whenever it comes to either managers, co-workers, friends, and even worse, the owner being a guest, it makes it even harder to cut them off because that person, might not be thinking right, and that person is also in charge of your employment status at that place. So even though that the bartender knows that it's his legal obligation to cut the owner off, it makes it even harder because at the same time, he also might have bills to pay.
I work my ass off, and I'm gonna drink. It's a lot cheaper for me to drink here than go somewhere else and drink.
I would disagree with that. You're not talking about drinking things at an invoice price. You're also talking about the walkouts, which they just talked about. So you're not just drinking a Bud Light here, you're also having crowds walking out with $100, $200 tabs out the door. And when you have the owner or the highest form of management present, unable to stop this from happening, you're losing hundreds of dollars a day or even more.
And see toys and see things like this. Is that the kind of place that you as a man would relate to going? Is that
Yes.
your lifestyle? I'm asking him a question. Let him answer.
Yeah, that's unacceptable. It doesn't matter if they're relatives, it doesn't matter what gender. It's very, very disrespectful to answer on the behalf of somebody else.
This place is going to succeed by its environment. Is this place hip?
No.
Is this place?
Hi.
Mom.
This is like exactly what I thought because there's a familial aspect to the relationships of the owners, and of course the mom has the most power, and mommy knows best, but these people, they all have the same amount of bar experience. So in this case, mother does not necessarily know the best.
Mimi and I are a little bit divided on this. I mean, she's holding on to everything she knows, and I don't give a crap, man. I just want to make money.
I applaud this guy. It's a business. It's not even trying to be greedy. It's about paying the bills. Everybody has their idea of a dream bar. It doesn't mean that the bar of your dreams isn't going to happen, but the bar that you own now, it needs to survive, because if it doesn't survive, you're not going to move forward.
My name is John Taffer, and I am one of the best bar consultants in the world. So who's the general manager?
I guess that would be me.
You guess that would be you?
Yeah.
Would you say he's the general manager?
I would.
So do you work for him?
No.
So he's not the general manager, you are.
I'm the owner. Are there, okay, oh, there's a problem. I don't know the difference definition.
Big problem right there. When you want to run a business, you need defined titles and you need defined roles. The fact that nobody knows who has the say. Right now, the employees, they don't know who to listen to. And it doesn't help that you have the owner and the GM who say the complete opposite things and nobody knows which person they should listen to.
Walking into that space was much worse than I expected. I mean, it was clean, which is great, but it was like somebody blew up a toy chest all over a bar, and that is just not good. That just doesn't work for me.
Now that I've seen this again with broad daylight, I think I would have to agree with John Taffer's wife, her original assessment. This place does look like a disaster. So earlier I did mention that I've seen, I've went to bars that work really well that had board games and childhood memorabilia, but when the lights are on, and maybe you just have to be there yourself because the cameras don't capture everything, that there's no congruence. It just looks random. It doesn't, if you're gonna choose to have this childhood theme, it needs to be consistent. But when you're putting like random plastic fish around, like what does that have to do with anyone's childhood? It just seems like, oh, I just want to make it kooky for the sake of kookiness, but there's no congruence. Like, what kind of bar are you? You guys have karaoke, but at the same time you have board games? Like, how are people going to play Monopoly when the whole bar is singing Journey?
Because this looks like a refrigerator at home.
Yeah.
Junior executive, urbanite. Is this going to cause them to come here and buy a premium spirit?
I don't see people putting that much attention to it.
Okay, then why even put it there? Is it decor or is it something that you found on the street? I love these, nostalgic things that people put in bars, but putting a home refrigerator is not a very practical idea. If you're gonna put it there to fit that theme of, childhood home nostalgia, that's one thing, but she just said that most people are not gonna notice. No, like if you didn't put it there on purpose, I think it draws more attention because I would notice. I'm gonna be like, why is there a home refrigerator and it doesn't seem to fit anything else around here? It's either done by accident, like I can't, if that happened, I could not imagine that somebody put it there on purpose.
What I'm about to say, they are not going to like. I understand that, but I have to say it. They have to hear it. I know what has to go, and the toys have to go.
This is gonna be a tough decision. I know that a lot of these employees have gotten used to the toys, the games, the memorabilia, but deep down you can also tell that they know that that's also why the bar is not doing well. And I think Mimi, even though she's pushing it the hardest, I think she's starting to realize it, but she has this like ego defense mechanism that's like preventing her from agreeing with John Taffer.
I mean, starting with the salad, as far as canned anchovies go, this is not something you want to eat. Doesn't look appetizing. You got the bones in there.
So canned fish, when you're looking at it for protein, nutritional value, let's say you're an athlete or a bodybuilder and you need that protein, it's fine. But as a garnish, where it needs to be visually appealing, probably not a good idea.
Tex-Mex burger.
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not even tasting that.
All right.
That just looks a little scary to me.
Yeah, that burger looks horrible. You got a burger right there that looks like half of the ingredients came out of a can and the other half came out of a freezer. Like, how much are you charging that? $5? Probably not. If you're at a restaurant or a bar, they're probably charging at least $12 to $15. But that does not look like something I would pay $12 to $15 worth. Especially when you could just get one out of a drive-thru, that's probably gonna taste a lot better.
If I'm taking an order, right here, I'll have a Hakushore. I've gotta go over here, grab the bottle, back over here, grab the glass.
Right.
you know, just extra steps. I mean, that's...
I've been saying it since we opened.
I've heard and seen this before. One of my friends, he helped open this new restaurant. You know, they spent millions of dollars making it all nice and all that. But he said the bartending setup sucks. There's one of the stations that he had to work with. Basically, you had the drink rail, you had the ice bin, and then you had the speed rail. But here's a problem. There's no sink around it. There was a dishwasher machine right next to him, and the sink was around that. So you could not wash your tools after you use them. You actually have to throw them into the sink and hopefully it doesn't bounce out and fall to the floor. It was so hectic that they actually had to have a designated bar back to sit there, grab the shakers, rinse them into the sink, and then throw them back at the bartenders. That was his job. They did not think about how these extra steps would affect service so much, especially in this situation where you could not even pour a beer in the most practical sense. It just slows everything down. Like if you can't pour a beer and you're losing 2 seconds every time you pour a beer, how are you gonna make cocktails?
Do you take in the consideration when...
Oh, this has been voiced. This is not something
I mean, so is it, who has the authority to move stuff around back here?
I couldn't tell you. It's no secret that the bar is set up bad, and the things.
Well, but why is it still set up bad? We've been open for a year.
The case that where my friend had to work at, it was plumbing. It was all permanent. They couldn't change it. But this stuff, it's just moving glassware around. There's nothing that stops them from moving the glassware around, you know, the beer bottles around. Yet it's not an inherent problem of the way that this bar was designed. It's just a lack of authority, lack of, you know, people following through saying, hey, you should move this over here, this over here. This is pretty frustrating because unlike the example that I provided, things can be changed relatively quickly in this case.
Let's pour a beer.
He just poured out a good amount of foam, and that means a wasted product. When there's that much foam, it usually means either the keg room is not cold enough or the lines between the keg room and the tap, the beer just warms up too much. There's not enough insulation. So the beers become warm by the time you pour it into the glass, and then all that foam that just comes out, that's just waste. You're just losing money.
57% of all people that come to Chicago, or any city for that matter, to visit, are going to get their restaurant recommendation from a local person. So if we can get the locals here, we'll get the tourists here.
Great advice. I live in San Francisco and we have these tourist traps. But whenever I travel, I'll start off, especially if I don't know anyone, I'll start off at a random bar. It doesn't matter what kind of bar it is, preferably not a chain. I'll talk to the bartenders. Hey, what do you recommend? Move to the next place. What do you recommend? Eventually you'll see like a lot of these bartenders will recommend a lot of the same places. I'll gravitate towards the places that multiple bartenders recommend. If you can't generate loyalty from the people who live there, there's no way you can survive on that. Let's say you do make a lot of money during tourist seasons. Okay, so what happens after that? What happens when there's no tourists? The locals aren't going to support you.
The state of Illinois, 67.6% of the households are families. In this area, only 31% are. There's no families here. Anything that sends a family message totally misses the market.
See, these are the kind of things that they should have thought about when they want to open a bar that has board games and stuff. You got to know your neighborhood. If you want to do something like this, which I said earlier, I've seen it work, it needs to be done in a place that would accept that.
That's what this is about. So let's not talk about that kind of stuff. It's a simple decision. Do you trust him to run this business?
Okay, you've just thrown another big one that sometimes can't necessarily...
Oh my God. It's a yes or no question.
You know what? I have a question. What is my role?
So you have to play owner, which means you review the numbers, you talk strategy, and that's it. Because he's accountable.
You're telling me that this is required to have success.
I am telling you that there needs to be a general manager in this building.
This is what I was talking about earlier. There needs to be defined roles on who does what. Because yes, she is the owner. But even as the owner, you need to establish limits on yourself.
Remember Mom's old refrigerator?
Yeah.
I didn't have the heart to throw it away. We took what was a liability and turned it into an asset. When you see that, you say, huh, I'm gonna have a beer.
That's pretty clever. Yeah, you don't have to get rid of everything, but Everything needs to have a purpose, and the fact that they're putting frosted beer mugs right there, it like invites people, hey, guess I'm gonna have a beer.
This one's gonna make it. We have good management, they're not lazy, they pay attention to detail, they've got a great concept, they've got a great beginning. I believe this one's gonna be a big success.
So this episode was actually pretty good. Like, one thing I loved about it was that I don't think there was any staff member that was lazy. There might have been some people with like flaws, but a lot of these things were corrected. But in the end, I think they just lacked structure. And when given that structure, they just like figured it out, and it just worked well for them. So I'm actually very happy for these people. Anyways, that was the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you haven't done so, please like and subscribe. And if you can, please support my Patreon so I can continue producing more videos like this on my channel, as it is growing very fast. And until then, I'll see you guys on the next video.